Good afternoon, everyone. We're excited to have you all here and talk about meetings marketing. Super excited about this topic. It's close to my heart for sure. And again, this is what makes it even more special is this is the first time it's been discussed at eTourism. So I just want to dive right in and let the panel introduce themselves. So we'll start with Amy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amy Wilson, co-founder of Winistry, which is a tech platform built by gaming industry experts that makes it easy to build mobile apps and websites that are AI-powered and have tons of features that normally would take months and months and lots of resources and dollars to build. We have it all built into the platform, and we serve DMOs both on the meeting side and on the marketing side. So I'm excited about talking through this topic.
Yes, thanks. Danny?
Can you guys hear me? Hey everybody, first time here at eTourism Summit. Thank you for having me. I'm Danny, I'm CEO of Trove. We are a tourism branding and marketing agency based in Long Island City, New York. Whoop whoop for Long Island City. And what we do for meetings marketing specifically, we do leisure and meetings. We focus on branding and messaging, and we also focus on building cross-media digital campaigns. So we primarily work with cities and states and countries, and we work to both put messaging out there that feeds exactly what that planner needs and develop strong digital campaign that will not only raise awareness amongst planners, but actually convert that planner to book at your destination. So that's what we do, and thank you for having me.
Hello, I'm Maya Surrency, co-founder of Digital Edge Marketing. We are an agency based in Jacksonville, Florida, and have 11 years in the industry. Prior to starting the agency, I worked as a VP of marketing, and my business partner was a vice president of sales. And we realized that there wasn't anyone kind of focused on that group sales marketing aspect. So we started the agency to really fill that niche, and as we say, bridge the gap between sales and marketing. And now we have a team of 17 focused on just doing that, from content writers and media specialists and creatives and account strategy. We are here to really focus on the destinations, the states, and convention centers to help you appeal to planners and drive more business.
Great, thank you. Rockstar panel for sure. Okay, so question number one, Danny and Maya. So we know that meetings-specific marketing is much different than just marketing directly to the leisure consumer. So if a CVB or tourism board wanted to get into this and they were just starting, what are some of your recommendations or first steps?
Sure. This is a really important question because consumer marketing and meetings marketing are vastly different. For the meetings marketing side, the first step, if you're a CVB or a DMO that says, I have a convention center or I have a series of hotels or I have great experiences for events, how do I get started? We always recommend identifying 2 or 3 priority planners. So these are types of planners, whether it's an incentive planner, an association planner, large convention planner, where you understand not only what kinds of events they're organizing, how big are they? Where are they organizing these events? And then secondly, where are they online? So we do a lot at Trove to understand where are these planners browsing? Where are they searching? What are they talking about? What types of events are they organizing now? What types of events do they want to organize? So understanding your planner and segmenting your market is the first step. It usually takes a few months to do that right, but once you set that forward, it helps with your creative, it helps with your messaging, and it helps you really map out targeted digital campaigns. Understanding your planner is my first piece of advice.
I think a big thing too is, you hear meetings marketing and a lot of people have like an ad campaign running, and not just having a media buy and an ad campaign, that's not really gonna work to drive that marketing effort that your sales team is gonna need and gonna rely on. So it has to go much more beyond a brand campaign or an ad campaign. Really, you have to have that multi-channel approach in order to have a really cohesive effort that generates the activity that sales is looking for. You have to incorporate content marketing. You have to activate that sales team with marketing materials and messaging and amplify their voices and the efforts that they have. So one of the first things that we do is we survey our sales teams to identify, as they're getting into their new fiscal year planning, Where do you want to have more emphasis? What vertical markets are you looking to grow? What are the biggest challenges that you face when you're booking meetings? And really learn from them. This will help you generate that action plan that'll take your campaign from just like a brand or a marketing campaign to more of an action-based, full-service marketing effort. This is something that we just recently did. We have a lot of California clients that are going through a July 1 renewal, and so we're going through the process. I was in LA last week. We serviced the sales team, and then we sat in on their planning meetings to really hear where they're trying to focus for the new fiscal year. That way we can align all of that marketing with the team's activations.
I think that's key. I mean, we've talked about that before many times, but you really do need to partner with an agency or anybody, whether it's a B2B organization, and make sure that they are aligned with the vision of your destination and your goals. I think that's definitely a key point. Okay, Amy, so once we get the buyer there, what recommendations do you have to keep them?
Right. So, so what I'm finding from our clients is that they really want to show the meeting planners who have signed on a high level of service, like high touch service, but they're also really busy with multiple competing priorities. So because we're a technology company, they have come to us asking for tools that can make the collaboration between the services team and the meeting planners even more fluid. So look for technology providers that can provide you not just with like a venue search catalog, but one that's more of a collaboration tool where the services person can create a pre-populated list of venues recommended for a certain event that they know the planner needs to do. Can send that over to the planner who makes changes and sends it back. And so it's like more than just a catalog, it's like a collaboration tool. We've also seen it be effective to create custom venue catalogs for larger events. Super Bowl and NCAA Final Four are some custom venue catalogs we've done with our client. And that way they could pre-pick the venues they really wanted the meeting planners to focus on and have it be visibility across like many planners who are all planning events around a big sporting event. So really just having technology tools that enable you to do a high level of service without necessarily needing more manpower can be one way.
That's great. So here's something that we heard in a webinar that we did not too long ago. So in a lot of destinations, the marketing team and the sales team, they may not align and see exactly eye to eye on how to approach meeting-specific marketing. I think that's really standard. I don't think it's unique to any destination. And so Maya, what would be some of your recommendations on how the marketing team and the sales team can kind of come together and bridge that gap?
I think it's really key to participate in each other's activities, and I think, you know, one thing that's kind of cool is the Explore Branson team here, the marketing team is here, but then Maria and Sam are also here. This is a marketing conference, but they're here to learn and absorb, and that cross-functional, you know, participation is key. So if you're on the marketing side, going to a trade show, participating in a site visit, going on a FAM tour, really listening to how your team is communicating to the planners. What are they being asked? What are they saying? That gives you a treasure trove of information to pull from for a content marketing approach. It gives you ideas for a campaign. So there's a lot that you can learn from, you know, just kind of walking through the day with them. Many of you have people here at Connect. You know, go over if your sales team is here and join them for a 15-minute, you know, buyer meeting and just participate and listen. There's so much that can be picked up by that one-to-one customer customer experience. And I love that, you guys are here at a marketing conference, because I think that also, many of you marketers would love to see your sales teams understand marketing better, and having them join you at a conference, when it's feasible and in budget would be really key as well, so that you can get the key to understanding both sides. It is so different. I used to work on the marketing side. 2 members of my team used to work on the sales side, and it's a total different rhythm to the day if you're a salesperson versus a marketing person, and then the way you think and you strategize is typically totally opposite. So the more that you can participate in each other's worlds a little bit, it gives you the insights that you can take back and utilize to develop some really key and unique marketing perspectives and activities.
That's great advice. I agree. Okay, Danny, you mentioned segmentation a moment ago. So why is segmenting the market so important when it comes to meetings marketing? And then how do you define your highest priority once you do that?
Sure. So, what Maya mentioned, CVBs are constantly reporting to us and saying, sales and marketing teams are so separate. How do we bridge that gap? One thing that we'd highly recommend you do is understand these planners. When you try to segment your market, you have to understand a few different things. First of all, in the last 48 months, where have the majority of booked events been? Where have they been placed, and what planners have been placing those events? Look at competitors, identify what events they've been holding, right? What types of events are they? What kind of experiences are they offering planners? What kind of messaging and marketing is offered as well? We also do a lot of listening and surveying of planners. So what's interesting about the planner market that's not the same as the consumer market, the planner market is very small, right? So we're not talking about 1 million people. We're talking about in the tens of thousands, if the 100,000s, if we're talking about US and Canadian, North American planners. It's a small market, and they're very competitive, and they're often very choosy. Okay, so they want incentives, they want bonuses, they want an understanding of why they should go there, and that differs based on the planner. It differs if you're an incentive planner, if you're planning large-scale conventions, if you're planning association type events. So segmenting is important because there are not many out there, and you have to make sure that your marketing is right and it's on the money based on where the events are being organized and what these planners want.
All right, so this is a question for all 3 of you. So what are the key trends, and how do you evolve the strategies as trends are changing, and I think even more rapidly in the last year? So if you can kind of, enlighten us on how do you stay on trend, and how do you constantly evolve and stay, true to your clients and their budgets?
One of the trends that I'm seeing from where I am working with the marketing team and into the sales and services and then to the meeting planners is, and as someone who's making mobile apps and web apps, is that, a few years ago when we first launched one of our mobile apps with a client, the convention planners were not interested in the mobile app at all. And you may have also had experiences where the mobile app is pretty flat and isn't sticky, et cetera. And so they didn't want to divert eyeballs from their own app that they needed to get people to install to a mobile app provided by the DMO. But this year, we're actually hearing convention planners asking for the mobile app because we're able to do a co-branded app with any of the meetings that's like dynamically populated with their branding. And then they like the idea of things that we can do in mobile apps now, like check-in challenges and have special things that they send their attendees around to do. And so that was a big shift. I think it was partially too because everybody learned how to use a QR code during COVID and people are installing apps more readily. But a big shift to see the convention planners actually asking for it.
Another key trend that we see is, everyone on the leisure side has been talking about first-party data and how to leverage that. And I think that's something you can really do on the meeting side is leverage your own first-party data to create campaigns, utilize retargeting off of your site, retargeting and developing lookalike audiences off of your databases. And then another key thing is move away from the monthly sales newsletter or the quarterly newsletter. And many other industry, account-based marketing is a key B2B sales tactic. And it is something many of you probably in the room, if you're SimpleView users and you're using Act On, or even if you're MailChimp users, you have the ability to do activations, automations, and account-based marketing, which is really going to give you the opportunity to focus on talking to the right audience and really honing in on specific vertical market segments, growth market segments, talking to planners as they're moving through that funnel to get them more engaged, and start developing lead scoring to help showcase to your sales team what planners within your database are engaging with your emails, are engaging with your website, engaging with your social campaigns, and then score them so that they can then start activating them and do more automated messaging. So that is definitely a tactic that, as the travel industry, we could leverage and adapt much more quickly and really have a big impact on that sales process.
What we've also seen is planners, especially since 2020, are increasingly online. They're increasingly posting on LinkedIn about their events, about events that they have coming up. They are very much online. They're on Instagram. The event profs hashtag is constantly increasing in terms of the number of planners that are using it and sharing, right? So if they're online, it's up to marketers to also be online and not rely on, as Maya mentioned, quarterly newsletters or traditional sales tactics. Those are great, but you need to start to level up and understand not only where they are online, but how can you pinpoint them specifically based on where they're browsing and based on what their interests are.
And there's a lot, we heard earlier today about connected TV and video marketing. That is not something that could just be for your leisure. You can actually utilize these different channels for the meeting segment and really get more fine-tuned and start to deliver ads on connected TV. We were even talking to Samantha about audio podcasts. Everybody loves a podcast. So can you place your ads in front of a business podcast and start to reach the planners in different ways so that it's not just, a print ad or a banner ad that says meet here. Give it a little more depth to the advertising and have that multi-channel approach to really make sure that you're standing out, because it is very crowded.
It is very crowded. I think those are some newer concepts that I think are going to catch on. I think they're catching on industry-wide, but I think for the meetings market, it's going to make a big difference, I think, coming down the pike. Danny, so in your experience, what are some of the top factors that meeting planners look to make a decision for a destination? And then once they make that decision, how can a DMO or a destination really, hit that high point and keep their interest?
Sure. Great question. 3 things that we've heard from planners time and time again, and these are planners that sit in an incentive house or a meeting house or they're an independent broker or whatever it is, 3 categories that as a CVB you should be attuned to. The first, they're looking for authenticity, right? We're constantly talking about leisure and meetings product being distinct, but participants and event attendees, they need somewhere to go before their event, during their event, after their event. So ensuring that you're sticking with, okay, what is the local culture of that place? What are the unique things to do, and how can you integrate those into the events as well? We've seen a lot of that, and more of our destinations are building that in. The second is inventory. So what is your inventory? And giving them more frequent updates to planners that you have on file already, planners that you're looking at. What is the space in the convention center? Do you have plans to expand that space? What is your space in hotels? Do you have plans to expand that? What is your space in restaurants in the local area? Can you do dine-arounds in those restaurants? These are all concepts that planners are constantly thinking about. So we covered inventory, we covered authenticity. The last thing is, as a CVB, it's ease. You want to show planners that you're there to help them. Your sales team is there to give them incentives, give them bonuses, support them through the process of working with a convention center. It's not easy, right? So you want to make sure that you're showing them that you're supportive and that you as a CVB or a DMO are supporting them through that process. So those are the 3 things that we're constantly hearing from planners as major categories that are driving not only awareness decisions, but conversion decisions for planners.
Yeah, we always say to our clients and people, Planners are very different. They want the specs. They need the space, the dates, the rates. They need those. So we say in our office, it's the specs before the sparkle. So you can give them all of those details. Make sure it's clear and front and center of how much room availability and space that there is, and then sparkle in all of those authentic experiences.
And I think authenticity is key. I think for destinations and for the meetings world, you have to embrace who you are. I mean, no one's going to be the exact same destination, no matter what tier you are. For Branson, we're never going to be an LA. We're never going to be a St. Louis. So you have to embrace who you are and be okay with that and, believe in it. And that's going to come through. And when you deliver that message and that you're secure in that, I think it really relays strongly to the buyer on the end result. Okay, so Amy, how can DMOs equip meeting planners when it comes to attendance building?
Right. So this is where, again, technology can play a role. Ultimately, the goal is for the attendee to feel excited and also comfortable and knowledgeable about the destination when they're planning to go and then when they're on site. And so how to use all the great content that your organization is creating, how to get it to the attendee. And so mini sites are one way that is pretty popular, and they used to be and still can be kind of laborious to set up. Like you have to create a new mini site, spin it up for each convention, and so maybe only the largest conventions get to have them. But if you, it is possible to dynamically generate mini sites that are co-branded with the meeting and has custom content that the meeting wants, custom maps and things like that, and have a mini site for every single meeting that you're hosting that year without it taking more time than creating one. And then doing the same with the mobile app. If it's co-branded with the convention, then the convention will help drive installs of that app. And then the people are getting information not just about the itinerary of the meeting, but about where to eat that night. And they can save it to their favorites and, really do some trip planning and et cetera. So I think those are two of the ways, some of the technology that you can leverage to build excitement around the destination for the attendee.
And it's so important because attendance building is one of the key challenges coming out of the pandemic. We see that meetings are back, but one of the challenges is getting that meeting attendance back to where it used to be. Part of that is because of international not being there. So these tools and resources are going to be so important to your sales teams and your services teams as the planners are relying on them to help drive and get that attendance back, especially on the association side, which is, going to make these mobile apps and things so much more impactful. So, great work.
It is. So we've heard a lot today about social media, video strategy, all of that. So Danny and Maya, can you maybe talk about a little bit more about how you use different social media platforms and video strategy to target the meetings market?
I can start more holistically, and then I'll talk to you about a social media channel that we've seen a lot of pick up, especially in the last 12 months. Holistically, I think similar to how you have KPIs on the consumer side, it's really important to narrow down what your KPIs are as a DMO or a CVB on the meeting planner side. So if you're mapping things based on awareness, consideration, or engagement and conversions, you have to be really crystal clear and work with your sales team as well as your partners, the convention center, et cetera, on how to define those KPIs. That's your first step. So is a conversion labeled as a cross-channel referral to a partner, or is it an RFP form on your website, right? Well, how are you defining that conversion? That's really important, and defining all the KPIs first is critical, just like it is on the leisure side, especially when you're in social media, because there's a lot of variability in social media. Trends are constantly changing, so ensuring that you have a solid foundation first is important. On a channel perspective, we have seen a lot of great impact on LinkedIn, running paid ads and large-scale campaigns on LinkedIn where we're helping destinations not only push content that is normal and usual, but different and more creative content on LinkedIn. Planners are very much on LinkedIn, and especially in the last 3 years, have increased their usage of LinkedIn from what is previously reported as 30 minutes a day to now 2-3 hours, sometimes 4 hours a day. So they're constantly on LinkedIn, and it's important to be pushing content. We've seen click-through rates at 15-20% on our LinkedIn paid ad campaigns, targeting incentive planners, brokers, all types of meeting planners, also related to where they are and who they are as planners. So on a social media channel perspective, we've seen a lot of growth on LinkedIn, but more holistically, I'd always recommend starting with a solid measurement framework to make sure that your marketing is even bringing a return back to you, right? And that it makes sense for you and that you can track that over time.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is definitely great. We do see a lot of interaction with our Instagram stories. Planners are really loving that visual format. And then there are many planner groups on Facebook. So a meta advertising campaign paired with a LinkedIn campaign really performs well. And I think it's important to take the stats and look at your conversions and your engagement and kind of evaluate them. We just did an evaluation for a client. We looked back. We had been doing paid ads. We look at it every single month, but we hadn't gone and did like a 2-year analysis and where they're getting the most engagement, what kind of stories, what kind of posts were they really seeing the benefits. And then we restructured our content approach for the upcoming quarter based on those engagement stats. And, it was no surprise that the videos were definitely getting top, unique venues, museums and different attractions for your groups. These are all things that planners are trying to identify and want to know, and they really want the destinations to tell them. So I definitely think having a strong strategy with paid advertising across the board with the channels is really good. And a lot of people ask, do I need to have like a meetings, profile? And we just say, use a dark post when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, and then whatever your corporate profile is for LinkedIn, that will work. We have clients posting sales and partnership and leisure advertising all within their LinkedIn, and it works. It's just basically about finding and getting and reaching that audience. Another thing that we've been doing is we've been training a lot of the sales teams that we're working with on how to use LinkedIn, how to set up their profiles so they don't read like resumes and they really read like the destination experts that they are, and then empowering them with that information of what to do, how to utilize a channel, what to post, when to post, all those key facts. And then LinkedIn, for your sales team, it's also the world's largest database. So when you tap into it as a database, it'll help your sales team understand the benefits all the more, because then they can search and they can verify and really review profiles to see if these planners are who they say they are, and they can help avoid planner scammers, any kind of things like that sometimes comes up.
That's great advice. LinkedIn has been great, I know, for our sales team. We use it really on a daily basis. So along with meetings, marketing, that's kind of, coming front and center right now, also is the destination, the service side. And I think that's really kind of coming into light on the value and the importance of the service, which may seem, like, of course it is, but I don't think it's really gotten a lot of coverage or maybe as much respect as it maybe should have in the past. So Amy, speaking to that, how can the destination, the services team, how can they sort of future-proof themselves with any digital tools that may be coming online?
Right. Future-proofing is the golden fleece of technology. And so because Winistry was originally built as a gaming platform, we have a certain way of approaching technology that is different. And it has characteristics of future-proof because our platform is very modular and layered. And so we can swap out any of those layers at any time. And so we build things on top of Simple View. We pull from WordPress, we can pull from Drupal, like it doesn't matter. And so if you can find technology providers that are super flexible and modular, it's much more likely you're not going to get locked into something that then slowly dies. And then, of course, embracing AI. You've heard it today. The presentation earlier was excellent and spot on. And so making sure you find technology providers who are embracing that and know how to integrate AI into the user experience going forward, because it's everyone is going to be having these chat things for trip planning, and it's important to be riding that wave ahead of it instead of underneath of it.
Yeah, that's good. And future-proofing, I mean, we can only go so far probably with that. So I know in this climate today, we hear a lot about the economy and possible recession or a slight recession. And so speaking to that, what kind of insight or any recommendations do you have for the meetings market, Maya, as we kind of look towards maybe the last part of the year?
Yeah, I think, people ask us all the time, what happens if a recession comes, what can we do? And we heard this morning that travel is still up and it continues to be up year over year. But I will say I was in LA last week, the CEO was sharing a stat that 60% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency. So we don't know when the next recession is going to come, but when it does come, it will have an impact on all forms of travel. The one thing that you can do now, and the one reason that meetings marketing and group sales is so important, is you can really build the base of business for future years. And it is not a very sexy topic within the organization, and it is also not an easy one to always get across to your hoteliers, because the times are so good right now. We've never seen rates so high. Revenue managers are really pushing and keeping those rates high, even for group business. And so what we would suggest is really looking at future year shoulder season business, targeting those groups and finding ways that you can build the base with those groups. And then when you have the RFPs from the planners, it is really key to, help your sales team and leaders within the organization talk to your hoteliers, talk to the revenue managers, meet with them, present the business, and then try to win the case, because what we're hearing a lot is you're not always getting the response from the hotels for the RFPs and the business that you're bringing in to the destination. So more and more we're seeing organizations on the sales leadership and the CEO leadership, and even sometimes on the marketing side, starting to generate relationships with revenue managers at your major properties and developing those relationships so that you can work with them to win these pieces of business, because it can't just be from sales to sales anymore, your sales team to the hotel sales team. It really is going to take a little bit more to build that base. And, if you can do that, you're going to hold your occupancy and your ADR steady, and you'll recover faster, stronger than those destinations that haven't prepared in that long term. And that's really what destination sales is about. It's about, a lot of us are seeing the booking window very, very short. Somebody was asking me today, how much has it shrunk? And it could be, if it's a single property, down to 1 month to 3 months, as you know all too well. But, that long-term building the base of group business is really what destination sales is all about, and why we all started these sales teams many years ago. So looking 18, 24 months out, looking at your reports and how you can do that is going to be important. And then as a marketing professionals, there's a lot you can do to support that sales team, to support that effort. And it's hard when you're so busy right now doing all these other things for leisure, but there's many things you can do to really create that impact longer term.
That's true, and I think it goes back to, again, as DMO and CVB's tourism board, all of the things that we are in this room. I think, it goes back to advocacy and working with the community and your partners and your stakeholders to look at the bigger picture, because, we all work with our communities. So it's really important that we stay in touch with them and we know what's happening across the board with everyone in our community. Okay, so we're down to the last, number 10 question on how to shake things up. So from each of the panelists here, what is one tip or piece of advice that you'd like to share with everyone here in the room today? Amy?
The tip I have is really echoing what Maya said at the beginning of the panel, which is fostering any collaboration between the marketing, sales, and services teams that you can really go a long way to making sure everyone's pulling their oars in the same direction, and that if the marketing team is working on developing digital tools that the convention services team needs to know how to use, that that you have a clear line of communication and a sense of collaboration around training each other on what the other one does. So my tip is to collaborate across these divisions, but you said it already.
I think, it would be unfair for me to group CVBs and DMOs in one swoop and say everybody needs to get started in digital marketing for meeting planners, because some of you have already gotten started. If I were to break it down into two, I would say for those of you that are starting now to develop online strategies for planners, you need a really solid digital footprint, and that starts with your website, right? Same sales teams have a portfolio that shows their convention center square footage and all the assets that they need to have. You need to have a digital footprint, which starts with a website, and that can lead to more understanding of who's visiting your website. How can you pull that into an email drip campaign? How can you develop really solid retargeting strategies that are following them through their browsing? So starting with a solid website that lists out your product based on ease and inventory and authenticity of your destination as a meetings destination. Now, if you're more advanced in the process and you've already started that digital marketing strategy for planners, leveling up a little bit, looking at short form videos. Planners are constantly looking at that snackable asset to share with their clients, because ultimately they are intermediaries, just like you are an intermediary. Starting looking at other forms of marketing, a short form video for planners, looking at retargeting strategies that you may have not thought of before, trying to understand how to track that planner through their online journey is going to be important. So that's how I'd answer that question, just breaking it up.
Those are really good ones. I think not using any of those, I would say be more specific. Really fine-tune who it is that you should be focusing on, especially since so many are smaller destinations. Not everyone's a tier 1 or tier 2 that can fit these large groups. And so, if you really understand the business that is coming into your destination and where those opportunities are, you can get more specific. I was in Pasadena last week, and, they are very much focused on the tech sector, but that can mean many, many things. And they are more focused on the tech sector as it relates to Cal Polytechnic Institute and the types of research being done at that institute, and then how they can leverage that to generate more convention center business for that destination. And so that targeting just went whoop, and got very specific in looking at those research categories that are taking place within the university, and then how the destination can layer their approach to have that same kind of audience. So if you're a small destination, be small in who you're trying to reach. And for all of your meetings marketing, I would say just be more specific in how you approach it, because we've seen a lot of the meet here ads and the typical shots. I did a program at Esto last year. It was their first meetings marketing program, and I interviewed meeting planners on stage, and it was called Confessions of a Meeting Planner. And the images that they said they're tired of seeing is like the cheers and, the group of people like celebrating. So really look at how you can do everything just a little more specific to who you are and who you want to try to reach.
That's great. I think we're about on time. I want to thank everyone again for staying with us, and thanks to Connect and eTourism Summit. We're excited to be able to host this format and talk about meetings marketing. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.